Welcome to our January national call. We are so thrilled that you are here and have a jam-packed agenda today. As always, we are recording the session. So if you have to step away, we completely understand. Leaning into kind of those community norms, you've seen this slide. We'll talk about it briefly. Just housekeeping. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your stories. We want to hear your experiences and your thoughts, but only when you're ready to share them. So make sure you're muted and use the chat to talk, or come off of mute when you're sure you're ready to talk. No hot mic moments here today. Also want you to be mindful why we're here engaging in this work for the next hour and present in the moment. Like, there is stuff happening in your schools right now, and we understand. That's why we record. So while you can be engaged, we ask that you do lean in to get the most out of our time today. And lastly, and most importantly, be kind. Give yourself some grace. We're all going through a lot, and we can often be harder on ourselves than we are on our colleagues. So extend your colleagues some grace, and then make sure you have some for you. And if you don't know, hi, I'm Erin. I am the Associate Director of Learning Delivery here at VILS, and I am joined today, your lucky day. I have Todd DeSanto with me, who's going to be working the back, dropping in links in the chat, making sure we are rocking and rolling, and the majestic Nicole Adele, who is going to lead us in some panel work. And doesn't she look lovely in red? All right, I'm going to keep us moving just because we have a lot happening on our plate today. So what's our game plan? We're going to quickly just check in with everybody. We're going to hear from folks around the country with their stories of impact, some ways to share your impact, and then that ever important attendance and feedback survey. The agenda looks pretty small, but it's mighty. All right, is everybody with me so far? Can I get your favorite thing to say in celebration in the chat if you're with me? Maybe it's a hoo-ah or a woot-woot, or a let's go, nice, groovy, loving, let's do this, onward, nice. Got a bet thrown in? Sweet nuggets, Kurt, digging that one. Love it. You guys are awesome. Slay. I got told by my kids I can't say things are spicy anymore unless I'm talking about food. So I use it all of the time now. Here you go. We have the opportunity today to elevate some work where connections are taking place in Houston at Holland Middle School with Coach Isaac Emler. I want this young man to speak for himself and lean in and hear what's happening.
Mi nombre es Eli, tengo 11 años y llevo 5 meses en Estados Unidos.
¿Cómo te gusta usar los combos?
Para traducir palabras que no sepan. Me ha ayudado el uso de los Chromebooks
¿En clase?
a aprender más inglés.
Has the technology helped you or other family at home?
Cuando llegué yo no sabía, pero me dieron una computadora y ahí empecé a saber más palabras.
Is there anything you would like to share with other students or teachers who are new to technology?
Que las usen bien.
I mean, come on. I don't know if you have a silly grin on your face like I do. My heart grew a few sizes today watching him. Brought me joy. Yes, I love it in the chat coming in. All the praise for Isaac at Holland Middle School. A young man I know is going to do amazing things. He's got some drive and some enthusiasm. Just yes. All the praise, all the hearts. Javon, I think you're in Houston. So make sure you take back, I don't know if we have any other Houston folks on the call, but take back the love for Isaac, the praise for him and his bravery for stepping up and being only here for 5 months. That's just Yes. Yes. He is amazing. Oh, I'm loving this chat. All the love. All right. So we heard about how Isaac's doing. We all had a lovely love fest. Now the question comes to you. So we've had a few national calls. We've had some conferences. Your schools have had learning experiences. You've had syncs with your amazing colleagues, or my colleagues at VILS, and your partners. What have you learned from these? Feel free to use the chat or come off of mute. Love to hear. Let's see, there's like 170 people on the call today. So hopefully there's at least 2 or 3 of you who will share maybe some changes you've seen as a result of applying what you've learned. Nice. Brian jumping in, wanting those imaginary gold stars. They are yours today, sir. Seeing the colleagues come out of their comfort zones. That brings me joy in my role as an instructional coach. Like anytime we would just try something, I was over the moon. Oh, it's code. Oh, the chat's moving so fast. Capacity, the collaboration. Yes. Love, Darren. You're seeing those real world examples. Jeff, I think that's fantastic that you have found the TIM-O to be a valuable tool. I think that's one of those things that's so scary until you get into it and you're like, oh, no, this is just good teaching practice that I'm just checking myself with technology. I got this. I love that. Love it, love it, love it. That involved tech team, that shift in thinking, Jason, fantastic. Oh, Amy, that makes my heart happy. If you didn't scroll up and see it, she's talking about seeing our tech shy teachers start to embrace technology. Doesn't mean they've, fully jumped in, but that toe is in the water. And oh, that makes my heart just burst. Oh, this is great. We got to save this chat because there is some amazing stuff happening in here. Oh, Jose, that is so wonderful. Once fearful of technology, become leaders at the TLC. That, yes, all of the things. Okay, feel free to keep it going, but I'm going to move us along because we've got a lot to talk through. Oh, Marisol, that I love that your staff. Okay, I'm going to not look at the chat right now. It's just so good. So why are we gathered? We hit that agenda. We're feeling all warm and fuzzy. We're excited about, what we've done and where we can go. Today, you're going to hear about more stories of impact from our VILS schools, and we want to hear from you. Your stories matter. That is how change happens, is the telling of stories and sustained conversation. Not going to soapbox it. But I am going to pass it off to Nicole. So you get to hear her beautiful voice and her thoughts as we dive in to our panel.
Thank you so much, Erin, and colleagues, welcome. We're almost 200 strong on this call. This is wonderful because it's all about stories, learning from each other. But check out this Native American proverb. It reads, "Tell me the facts and I'll learn. Tell me the truth, I'll believe, but tell me a story and it will live in my heart forever." So as we move forward, colleagues, it's time to share stories, boots on the ground, folks who are doing the work across our nation. So I want to introduce our panelists today. So kicking off, we're going to hear from Principal Brady. She and actually the VILS coach, Emily Jones, those first 2 names you see on our screen, they're from the same school in the Bronx. They do dynamic work there. You're also going to hear from panelist Sue Inhelder. I had to check with Sue to make sure I pronounced her last name correctly because our colleague Camden brags about Sue all the time out of Iowa about the work she does. But Sue is going to be there speaking with you all as a panelist, as a VILS liaison. Kenneth, I was checking to make sure he was here. I'm not sure if he's arrived yet, but Kenneth, if he joins us, he is out of Portland. as an IT point of contact split between two schools doing great work. If Kenneth is not able to join us, do not worry, because out of Houston, where our young man Isaac came from, we have Javon Brown. He is a district IT lead, and he's a part of our panel. So we're going to kick it off, colleagues, with asking each of our panelists. We're going to give them a scenario. We're going to ask them for feedback, and they're going to share stories with you about how they worked through certain scenarios. All right, let's keep moving. All right, so the first one, this is for you, Principal Monica, out of New York. Now, here is your scenario. You've been asked to mentor this new principal who's in your same borough or your same district. They have no idea about the VILS program. But question number one, we're going to take it one question at a time. Monica, question one, what would you do to encourage the new principal to support the VILS program?
I'm muted. This happens to me in every Google Classroom. Hello, hi, new principal. I'm so excited that you're here. Now, my answer is a little differentiated. So if they're near me, I physically bring them here, because there's nothing like walking into a VILS school. And I think that's true at my school, but I'm sure it's true for every school on this call, right? Because once you see the kids, right? Once you see an Isaac, you're like, I want that. And then I just go, well, if you were Verizon, you'd have that, right? So that's easy. But let's assume they're somewhere in like North Dakota, a place I'll never get to visit, unless someone is from North Dakota wants to invite me, in which case I will help on the plane. But so you're in North Dakota. The thing I would say is it is transformational, not the hardware, right? The hardware is the lever, but it is transformational to have an entire nation of people whose only goal is to make sure that this tool that you have is used well and used when it's needed and not at any other time. That has been the thing that has blown my mind, is that, right, Verizon is this really big, right, it's the big bad scary company in my mind, but really it's really a collection of people who are not trying to force us to use our tech every second of the day. They want us to use our tech thoughtfully and to have thought partners across the country. Man, what else could you ask for? So that would be my spiel for my new and my old. I mean, my near and my far.
I love it. Thank you so much, Monica. We're going to move to question number two. Allison, I agree. I love it as well. And Allison's out of New York as well. I know that name. Now, Monica, question two. But you also have to give that new principal some caution. What would you share with that new principal of, hey, be cautious about this?
Talking hard about this, and I always have 50 answers for things, and this is the one that I settled on. That's, I think, the most important. Don't be afraid. You can't break it. Right? So you can't break the Chromebooks. You can't break Verizon. You can't break your teachers. Like, it's going to all work out. I would say, as best you can, pick a person for your as your coach that you love and trust that can handle the work. Because I think if you don't, I'm sure the work is a lot more challenging. But even that, there is so much national support. You can't break it. I guess I'm just going to come to that. You can't break it. So do it, try it. Don't be afraid. Talk to somebody from North Dakota or wherever and see what great ideas are out there, because there will be lots of issues. And some of them will be really specific to your school, but some of them are things that we're all facing across the country. So be cautious about trying to do it all by yourself, but otherwise don't be afraid. It's gonna be amazing when it's all done.
I love what you said. Try it. You won't break it. Here's your last question and somewhat of a testimonial. Can you speak to the impact that the VILS program has had in your school, you and Emily, your school, Leadership and Community Service?
So I have to start by saying I am cohort 7, which for those of you who are in cohort 7 knows it means we are the pandemic babies. So we didn't get any of the cool stuff that cohort 1 through 6 got. Like we didn't get to go to the convention in person, and lots of visits early on were only virtual. We missed out. Very sad, very sad. But I think that gives us an even truer sort of cheerleading moment because we started in the pandemic. I don't know, actually I do know, I always say I don't know. I absolutely know. We would not have gotten through this without Verizon, without this program. Without VILS, my kids would have suffered because A, we didn't have one-to-one devices, right? We all left in that March. I gave out every device that I had. We did the best that we could. Most of our kids had some kind of coverage. But in September, I opened ready to rock and roll. In New York, they did this crazy thing where you could be online for, I think it was 160 minutes or some literally like a period and a half a day. My teachers were online from 8 a.m. till 2:30 p.m., which is a regular school day, because we wanted to make sure our kids were connected. We wanted to make sure they had access, but we also wanted to teach them, right? Not just the content, but all of this computer stuff that was really new to us. And so without VILS, that wouldn't have been possible. We wouldn't have known about so many of the things we knew about. We wouldn't have known how to get a tech team together remotely. Like, how do you do that? What the heck? Well, I don't know. Somebody in California told us and we did it. It's really, from the very beginning, has been sustaining us. And so, but now, right, then we went through semi-remote and now we're all here. And through every stage, the people at Verizon, I mean, this is where I almost fall into tears because George and Shivry have been, honest to God, like our fairy godparents. I'm Cinderella, our whole school is like going to the prom and to the ball every day. And those two, just whenever we needed them, would come and sprinkle love on us. And so having the adult support, which, right, again, this program could just be hand us some hardware and keep it moving. It's not. It's about the people and the connections. I think that, to me, is the companion part of the impact, is that as an adult, I didn't have to, I learned not to be afraid because there was someone to hold my hand the entire time. So yeah, that's all I got for you.
You know what? Don't say that's all you got. And I loved how you phrased the companion, collaborative, that relationship. Give it a shout out to George and Shivry. That matters. So Principal Monica Brady, thank you so much. I'm going to pass it now back to my colleague, Erin.
All right, super fun, super quick community engagement here. What word comes to mind when you reflect on the impact VILS has had on your role as an instructional leader? We've got a Menti in the chat, or if you're feeling fancy, grab your cell phone and scan that QR code. It'll take you right to it. We're going to pull up the word cloud. So I'm going to leave the QR code here for just another second, and we'll switch to our Menti to see what word comes to mind when you reflect on the impact VILS has had on your role as an instructional leader. Also, I second the shout outs verbally and in the chat to George and Shivry. They're lovely human beings. All right, hopefully you grabbed it. Let's see where we're at. If you need the link, it's in the chat. Look at it moving. Failing forward. Love it. Growth is staying steady there. That is, we should set that to some like club music that would have a sick beat as it's moving around. And then it stops. Okay. This is phenomenal. Life-changing, transformative, keeps getting bigger, transformational, futuristic. Love it. So spoiler alert, we're going to do like 3 more of these. So keep those words in your head. We're going to come back after each person shares their story. We're going to jump into a Menti. So just so you know where we're headed with this, but we'll come back hopefully and see what all has been added to this one. So jumping back into our slides, we are going to jump to our next panelist, Nicole.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Erin. And girl, I was vibing those beats you were dropping. You got to do that again. So we loved hearing from Monica Brady out of her school in the Bronx, but we also have her, I guess, like partner in crime. Emily, you are up next because we're talking about Emily Jones, who is a VILS coach at the same school doing great work, boots on the ground. So Emily, here we go. This is your scenario. You've administered the TIMO. Now the data shows the majority of the lessons, not the teachers, but the lessons, because remember colleagues, the TIMO, it is not about assessing a teacher, it's assessing the lesson, right? So you noticed the data shows you they're at the entry level. Question 1, how do you start coaching your teachers, Emily, to try to move them, level them up to the adoption or the adaptation?
Absolutely. Okay, so in the theme of storytelling, I'm going to backtrack and we're going to go prologue here. Because one of the first things I think that's really important that I know all of us think a lot about, Miss Brady, you mentioned this as well, is just how we're using the tech, right? That key word is leverage. You know, as an instructional coach and as practitioners in VILS, we don't want to just use technology. We do want to go focus in on that word, leveraging the technology. We want to use it with purpose. And we want tech and ed tech programs to be something that pushes our students' learning forward, right? We don't want to just drop a shiny tool, walk away from it, and think the shiny tool is going to kind of make magic. So at the beginning of the school year, I do a PD with my staff where we look at and discuss the TIMO. And I found, right, that it can be super intimidating for teachers because it can look really similar to an evaluation tool that admin might come into a room and rate a teacher's lesson on, rather than what it actually is, right? It's a tool that puts language to talk meaningfully about how we use tech in the classroom. And something that I share at the beginning of the year in this prologue with my staff that I have taken from a VILS conference or meeting, or someone has shared this with me, but it's the idea that the TIM is based on good teaching and engaged learning. And that should drive the technology use in the classroom and not the other way around. And I think it's really important for people to hear that as the beginning part of the story. And that good teaching can actually occur anywhere on the TIMO. It can occur in the entry level, and it can occur obviously all the way to the transformational level. But when getting to chapter 1, and how do I move teachers who have their lessons have landed on an entry level, and I want to move them to adoption or adaptation. When I see that typically I'm looking at a teacher who has experienced the tech tool just using their teacher brain and not thinking about necessarily how is this good for learners, right? There's a difference between the 3 levels of using the tech tool, and that kind of goes to who is using the tech tool. Is it the teacher to give the lesson, or is the teacher letting their students manipulate and use it and leverage it for their learning? So what I do is I do a coaching routine that very first, it just puts the teacher into their learning brain and just gets them to play with a tool, a focused tech tool, as a learner, not as a teacher. I don't want them to fast forward and think, okay, how am I going to put this in a lesson on Tuesday? I want them to think, how is this a useful tool as a learner? And sometimes the answer to that question is it's not a useful tool for me as a learner. And that learning is really, really important. So I work with teachers to let them play with the tool as a learner before playing with it as a teacher. And then they can start to see how their students can use the tool. Some other things that I do when I work with teachers is I figure out how Tech Squad students can help teachers who are trying to move into that adoption or adaptation where they're letting the students become the driver of the tool. And sometimes all that takes is a confident kid who can go into a classroom with the teacher and be like on-demand tech support, so that the teacher knows if something goes wrong, they have that tech squad kid there to help them. Also, sometimes that looks like me going into the classroom. I have a teacher who really wanted to use a Nearpod and try that out in her lesson. She was very, very nervous about it. She's very used to just using Google Slides, you know, using technology just to deliver content, not letting kids mess with the technology. And I said, listen, I'll sit with you in the classroom. And I sat there. She didn't need me at all, but the simple presence of me being there, able to help her out if needed, I think gave her that kind of lifesaver that I'm the phone a friend at that moment. So that's kind of what I would do to work with a teacher, is really think about how that teacher is thinking about the tech tool so that we can move it into the hands of the students.
You know what, Emily, you not only spoke to question 1, but you gave us 4 examples of the impact that it's already having within your building. And the thing that spoke to me, you said good teaching and engaged learning from the teacher's perspective and the kid's perspective, right? And I got to give you a shout out before we transition to the next point with Aaron. I've got to give you a shout out because, Emily, for colleagues to welcome you in their classroom, their space, you've established great relationships as a VILS coach, and that matters. So thank you, Emily. Aaron, I'm passing it to you.
Love it. Love it. The chat's blowing up with the thoughts and lots of valuable information, bringing those teachers in. Yes, former instructional coach here, speaking to my heart and language, but that means there's another mentee coming up. So what's the word that comes to mind as you reflect on your impact as a VILS coach? Now, many of you are not VILS coaches. So I want you to think about what you've observed, your relationship with your teachers and your VILS coaches, and the changes that have happened in, so we can all answer this question. The link is again in the chat. I can pull the QR code back if anybody needs it, put it in, tell me in the chat and I'll switch back slides. But we see we've got lots coming in, trust coming in big. Man, you got to have that trust. I love, Emily, that you established that with your teachers. And I always had them say, when I would come in, they were like, I know it's going to work because you're here, but it didn't work earlier. And I'm like, well, you're going to do the exact same thing. And it always worked. And it's just, sometimes our presence is magical. As a coach, I would tell folks I was Mary Poppins and I would just pop in and pop out as the wind blew, be there for them. We got some connections happening here. Game changing. I like that one. I like all of them, but fun jumps out to me. A little small, but hopefully some of you guys have some more fun with your coaches. And, challenge can be looked at in many ways. Coaches sometimes have to wear a lot of hats and they don't always get to be the coaching hat due to the challenges we have in our schools. And I think that that's real and valid. And it's just an everyday challenge as school leaders that we have to face. Oh, Jeff, that's your sounding board. My superpower is standing there. I love it. So we are halfway, I think, through our panel, and we are just about halfway through our time together. So we are rocking and rolling. Emily just put into the chat. She is a sharer. So there's her Tim O PD that she does. Make sure you grab that, make a copy of that, add that to your drive. I know that from my experience in training teachers on the Tim tool, once it's realized it's not a gotcha and it's a tool they use to plan, it's all in. So I am sure, Emily, that this is phenomenal. And I'm sure a lot of folks are going to be grateful you shared that. So here we go. And we'll see our QR code again. And back to you, Nicole.
Thank you so much, Aaron. All right, so here we go. Now we are going to introduce Sue Inhelder. Sue is from Marshalltown High School in Iowa. So she is our panelist who is considered a VILS liaison. That's that person who you always think of in your building or on your campus of, go to this person. Sue will know. Sue will know. You know, and one of our colleagues, Camden, has bragged about all that Sue does. So Sue, here is your scenario. Now, this is dealing with micro-credentials. You are a new VILS liaison, and you learn that one of your tasks, you've got to make sure 30% of your teachers by the end of the year have submitted for their micro-credentials. So talk to us about question number one, Sue. Hello, welcome. How do you handle that? What steps do you take?
Well, thank you. I appreciate being here, and you'll have to let Camden know how much I appreciate all of his kudos. We're a second year hotspot school. So we actually started last year, and we introduced it to the staff as not a requirement, but as an opportunity. We tried very hard to see the value in this and connect the micro-credentials to things we were already doing in our district. Not that we were already doing the micro-credentials, but how the micro-credentials just fit into the puzzle pieces of professional development here at our school. We gamified quite a bit last year. First people to sign in to their Okta account got a woohoo. There was a number of times people had signed into their account. I put out tallies every month, you know, who our top performers were in that way. As far as rolling this initiative into the rest, Iowa has a professional development plan that you have to do every year. So we made sure that teachers could use the VILS training for that. And that's also can be used for relicensure in the state of Iowa. So it does kind of a double duty there. We offered an online academy annually through the summer and during the school year to our instructors, where they can self-select and work asynchronously with some sort of coursework, and we made sure all the micro-credentials were set there. And they could even get paid for that with teacher quality funds. We made sure any graduate credit that they earned qualified them for a lane change through our pay scales. So we tried to financially show reward with doing this in addition to the learning that helps with the classroom. I've held group sessions both last year and this year, where we meet virtually one night a week and work through a micro-credential. And I cannot tell you how many people have just kind of fallen out of their seats with that variability tool. So it really does a lot of promotion for itself.
You know what, Sue, hearing you speak and share all that you have, it seems like you offered this, quote, opportunity to your colleagues, but you made it relevant. You didn't reinvent. You showed how it would just marry, right? We're already doing the work. So let me show how I can share with you how I can grow you professionally still. That is good stuff. Very Absolutely. Nice. The monetary incentives help too, Sue.
They do. They sure do.
So Sue, could we move to question number 2? Being a part of VILS Hotspot program, talk to us about its impact on your students.
Well, I need to set the stage a little bit here first. Marshalltown had a major tornado churn through right down our main street quite a few years ago that took out trees, power lines, cable, everything. Then we had COVID. Then we had a derecho plow through our town and knock everything down again. So as far as our infrastructure goes, I mean, I even struggled to have internet connectivity for quite a few months with these events. So the hotspots could not have come at a better time. Our students were struggling and parents, families struggling, trying to get connectivity to even register their students for school. I did look last month, and for the month of October, our students with hotspots downloaded over 2.17 terabytes. So there's a lot of data flowing there. I'm going to jump into I think there's a question about students using more than 30 gigs per month. And I guess I want to remind all of us that one of our goals is equitable access. And how is it not equitable that one student can spend, 50 gig a month on YouTube learning how to do something, because it may be learning, educational, and then we throttle down at 30. I understand the reason for that, but I think the 30 gig is kind of an arbitrary amount, because I look at any time that they're online, there's a learning opportunity. I can't promise that's what they're doing, but there is a learning opportunity there. So for us, we have, we're still struggling with connectivity. It's months to get the internet provider to a house to get things hooked up. So when we have new students move into our district, which is usually one per week at the high school, they are right along with their Chromebook. They're asked right at that time. It's part of our welcome packet to see if they need a hotspot. And then we go over how to use that and how to work with it.
Excellent. Sue, thank you so much for contributing. And I'm passing it back to Erin as we keep on forging ahead.
Nicole, I think we need to get like a beach ball that we throw in our own rooms and catch as we live that out here. So here's our surprise, another Menti. Here is the QR code for the question about being part of the hotspot program. If you are not part of the hotspot program, it's okay if you answer and just think about connectivity. I don't know how many hotspot folks we have on the call today. If you want to sit this one out, I understand that too. But Sue, thank you again for sharing stories and just everything your town has gone through. And I'm so glad that you had a fallback to make sure the learning kept going. So really, really appreciate it. That link is in the chat, and we've already got that Menti loading up, that equity piece coming in. Reliable access. I'm pretty sure that's on the slide when we do orientations and onboardings. Moving forward, yep. Opportunities, access, but equity is huge. And at the end of the day, that's what we all want, right? We want an equitable experience. So all students, regardless of where they live, how they live, what they're studying, have an opportunity to move forward in education. So love that. We can again keep this coming. Oh, Balancer came in. Humanity. Nice. Love, love, love. Okay. We are going to hear now from my dear friend, Nicole.
Thank you, Erin. All right, so we are pressing on. Kenneth Hamilton is up next because we have a panelist who is a school IT point of contact. Now, if anyone's from Portland, Portland's in the house now because Kenneth is splitting his time. He is the best. You hear me, Leah? Kenneth splits his time.
I do, and I have to jump in and just say he's in my building, and I'm so excited. He's fantastic.
That's what I'm talking about, Leah. Yes, ma'am. Kenneth is splitting his time between Hamilton and, Harrison Park and Kellogg. So Kenneth Hamilton, now you are up, brother. Here's your scenario. Winter break has passed. You have noticed so many kids have surpassed what Sue spoke about, that 30 gigabyte limit. What steps would you take, Kenneth? Question number one, to reduce the number of students surpassing that.
Hey, thank you, everybody. Thank you for the kind words. I'm very blessed to be part of the team here in Portland. Well, the data points for the data usage over the winter break are useful. We use them in conjunction with our Google Admin Console, and that can help us determine what's going on with those devices. Is it just one student that's using that device? Or was there something like we get often here in the Pacific Northwest, similar to Sue, where we have a lot of power outages? And when a family experiences a power outage, a lot of times these VILS devices are their only connection to the internet. And it could be that multiple students logged in and we're using the Chromebook, or if it was just one, we could then follow up with that student and see what's going on. Sometimes it's unavoidable. If they have no internet at home, then they're just using that device. But other times it could be a learning opportunity for them to understand how to swap between LTE and their Wi-Fi. So there's various things you could do with that data, but that's the way we find it most useful.
Excellent.
And our students having 24/7 access to the internet is crucial out here in the winter months. We have a lot of power outages. A lot of our neighborhoods experience very difficult times, and these devices will be their only connection to get support in school or outside of school.
You know what, Kenneth, thank you so much. And I love how you phrased, when you find the kiddos who have been issued the devices that have more than 30 gigabytes, it's not about just going in on them, it's a learning opportunity. There are so many different reasons why that kiddo could be in excess of 30 gigabytes. So that's important to know. And Kenneth, all the bragging about you, brother, here you are sitting in your car, going from school to school. That's what I'm talking about, man. Thank you so much, Kenneth. All right, Aaron, we're ready to transition, girlie.
Oh man, I hope your fingers are ready for another. Wait for it. Wait for it. It's a Menti. We're going to do it again. I know. We got that link in the chat. Here we go. What's the word that comes to mind when you reflect on the impact having 24/7 internet access has had on students and families? This is an all skate. We've all had this experience. So encourage every one of you to get that word that pops into mind, that first one, list it out. Here we go. Zoom. Oh, we got that lifeline coming right in straight from Kenneth's mouth there. Amazing. You know what I find so wonderful about all of you is that in each of the slides we've looked at, equity has been centered and huge. And that just means we're centering it and making it a priority. So thank you for that, each and every one of you. Even if you didn't put equity in, I know that is where we are in that thought process. Essential coming in, empowered getting bigger. Ooh, supervision throwing in that. Yeah, maybe you could go either way again. Ownership, and I'll give you just another second to get your thoughts in if you haven't had a chance to add to the Menti. Okay, next up, here we go.
All right, I think we are, yes, Aaron, thank you so much. We have heard from Principal Monica. We have heard from VILS Coach Emily. We have heard from the VILS Liaison Point Person Sue, and we have heard from a school-based IT colleague, Kenneth. So now we're going to finish our panelists sharing their stories of impact by introducing Javon Brown. He's out of Houston ISD, and he is a district IT point of contact. So he has many schools that he supports with the IT glasses, if you will. So Javon, welcome. Thank you for being with us. And your scenario is up on the screen. You have visited 5 schools within your district. One school does not have a tech team, man, and they have lots of new staff members. We all understand how that is to have new staff members in our schools. So, Javon, question number 1, sir, how would you go about establishing a student tech team at that one school?
That's a great question. Thank you. Thank you. The silver lining in this situation is that the campus does not have to reinvent the wheel. I would schedule a meeting with the campus principal, the site-based tech, and the instructional coach, and I would inquire about the challenges that they faced in creating their tech team. I'd start by sharing a video. When I meet with them, I'll share a video from the Digital Promise website that highlights the benefits of having a student tech team on site. And I would encourage them to share it with their students and staff as well. I'm going to drop a copy of that video or a link to that video in the chat. And we'll move on. I would also, the next step would involve having the campus team identify the personnel that would be responsible for working with the student tech team. In addition to the campus tech and the instructional coach, that staff member in most cases would be a computer lit instructor, a club sponsor, or an elective instructor with a tech background. We would identify the times and the periods in which the students would meet for IT training, service, and support, and we would determine whether it would be through an elective class or an office assistant period, or before or after school. I'd also suggest that the students from all three grade levels, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, be given an opportunity to serve on the team. To provide a good visualization of what a good student tech team would look like, I would recommend that the campus admin and site-based IT staff visit one of our other campuses that has a well-established tech team. And I would encourage them to engage in ongoing dialogue with that campus, as well as others that are doing well, which would involve sharing best practices regarding recruitment, training, support, and retention of tech team students. Additional information for everything I just covered can also be found on the, we can also share that information from the VILS website, or the Digital Promise website. And I'm gonna drop a copy of that in the chat as well.
And while you do that, Javon, I really appreciate you sharing. And the chat was lighting up. You have lots of fans in this session. I love it. But Javon, when you first started speaking, the one thing that I noticed is you spoke to, I would first go to the school and get the right people around the table so we could do it collaboratively, right?
Correct.
So you
That's
could coach them collaboratively and hear from them, right? I love that. Real quickly, if you don't mind, question number 2, what kind of impact have you seen in Houston ISD with your student tech teams? We already love Isaac from earlier.
Oh, yeah. Isaac's phenomenal. Yes, and we've got excellent techs and instructional coaches on site at every campus. The implementation of the student tech teams at our campuses has been significant district-wide. We see our tech team students as an extension of our campus techs and our campus CITs. They're our boots on the ground across the campus and in the classrooms. And they are actually our first responders to tech support issues. If an instructor or a student needs simple tech assistance and a tech student or tech team student is available or on site, they provide that immediate support and that immediate assistance. And that often negates the need to escalate the tech support issue to our site-based technologist. And that frees our tech for higher level to be available for more higher level tech support issues. So they are integral in the overall support of the campus. And our goal is to ensure that every tech team student receives hands-on support, hardware and software support from our campus techs, our instructional technologists, and their instructional sponsor, be it the classroom instructor or club instructor. And we enable them to, the training that they receive will enable them to continue to be on-site support in the classrooms, outside of the classrooms, and as well as inside of the Technology Service Center. The training that the students receive will also enable them to be successful beyond middle school, on into high school, on to college if they choose to go, and in the professional world.
Thank you so much, Javon. And I ditto my colleague Kurt put in the chat, students as first responders, students
Correct.
that is major. Love it. Thank you so much, Javon. I'm passing it over to you, Aaron.
Okay, now some of you are little go-getters and I love it so much, but surprise, surprise, we have one last mentee to share the word that comes to mind when you reflect on the impact student teams have had within your district. And Todd has thrown that link in and we already have quite a few responses. Again, equity right centered in. Go ahead and add yours if you haven't. And if you don't have a student tech team, well, I know Javon is doing a really great job and maybe he'd be willing to help out with that. share any resources he has or more experience. And I know lots of you guys have student tech teams in your buildings. No excuses. Love it. Very awesome work here, you guys. Really nice job with our panelists. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, being vulnerable, coming on. It can be scary. Thank you for taking time out of your day to be here with us, to share your experiences and your wisdom. Now, as we go forward, you all have stories of impact, and we're going to take like the shortest amount of time. You have like 5 minutes in your breakout rooms. There's like almost 200 people. We're going to jump into breakout rooms really quick, just 5 minutes to think about the impact VILS has had on your school, your program. Share one story, make it quick, and we will come back together and wrap up, look ahead at what is on the offering from VILS for the rest of this year, and get you out of here. So if we are ready, let's open up those breakout rooms. All right, my quick clickers are back. Welcome, welcome. Everybody will be joining us in about 30 seconds. It's never enough time in your rooms, so I hope you guys had a speed round, got to share. We've got a few rooms still going strong, so they're gonna use that shepherd's crook and pull them out here in about 20 seconds. And right now, if you want to come off of mute or put in the chat a story that you either heard or shared.
Meeting is being recorded.
Yes. That you think we all should hear, or you just want to brag on your school, or maybe a story you heard you want to brag on what happened to another person. Caroline, go.
One thing that was shared in my breakout room was there was an instructional coach that
This meeting is being recorded.
Instructional coach that's in the second year, and he had said that technology use is now the norm, you know, but not just with the teachers and students, but with the parents as well. And the parents using it in terms of the parents communicating with the school and understanding what their children are doing at school because they have that technology at home. Another thing that was shared with someone that's in their third year or 2.5 year, however you want to look at it, cohort 7, had said that there was so much, you'll see growth in the teachers each year. So like, that's a great impact, like their technology use, their comfort level, and just the supportive ways that they are with each other and students.
I love it. Thank you so much for jumping in and sharing. Would love to hear from more of you. If you want to put it in the chat, we'll definitely save the chat, but we've got like 3 minutes left before we hit the hour, and y'all all have important work to do. So quick reminder, we're going to fly through these last few slides, that when you're telling your story, we really want to focus on the connections, and you guys have done a phenomenal job in sharing today what I've heard anecdotally and formally in our panel about the connections being made, the achievements that are being showcased, the innovations taking place, and really being grounded and clear of coming back to our why. So keep those in mind as you are working to tell your story, to share your experience. And if you want to continue this skill set inside of the VILS Academy, we have the Power of Storytelling, which is a short course that will work through how to tell the story. And I know we all have time commitments, definitely worth your time as you really think about the stories of impact that you'll need for your portfolio. Yes, Anthony, there is a sign-in sheet. I'm going to get it to you in one hot second. You can grab this QR code real fast, scan it. We'll put the link in the chat. Again, the recording, well, you can freeze it on here, but Registration is now open for the annual VILS Innovative Learning School Spring Virtual Conference. So the dates are March 14th through 16th from 12 to 4 Eastern each day. So that's 9 to 1 Pacific and 11 to 3 Central. That was some quick math. I'm just gonna go ahead and take it. So 3 reasons that you should attend: to learn from each other, to make those connections, and really ground it back in the work of students and returning back feeling empowered. Now, if you're feeling fancy, and some of you really, really ought to, consider presenting. Like, tell your story. So grab this QR code. Todd has put in the bit.ly for it. Submit a presentation proposal. That deadline is coming up. It's the 16th, but your stories are impactful, and I really want to give you a platform to share them even more. So lots that you could share. I always tell teachers that what's mundane to you is magical to others. So even if you don't think what you're doing is super special, it is, and it should be shared with other people. Last but not least, if you're attending education conferences, we want to know where you are. And another QR code. You're right on the nose here. Verizon HQ is always updating materials. They've added additional lessons. They've added more episodes of the Time Pod Adventures, always being updated. Definitely check that out. As always, we share, if you want Verizon to come to your schools, they want to come, but they're not magical. You got to fill out the form, and that's not a guarantee of their appearing. And the sooner you do it, the better. So grab that form. The link is just blowing up with all of the chat is blowing up with all the links, and then our attendance and feedback. We do take into consideration everything you share, so your comments are read, reflected on, and implemented for the next time we get together as a whole group. Thank you for sticking with me. We are 1 minute over. I look forward to these every time they come up on my calendar. I hope you'll all have an amazing day. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, our panelists. Thank you, Todd. And let's make it amazing. All right.